Hey guys, in this video you are going through the notes for finding a function rule given a table. So if you look at the little machine that is in the top left corner, you're going to be inputting your x values into this machine that we're going to create using either, you can call it a rule or an equation. Once we put this x value into it, we're going to get an output of our y values. So what is this going to look like? So look at the x values, or the x values. So we're looking at right here. You need to know if they are going up by 1 or if they are skipping. It's easier to determine the rule if they are going up by 1. So in between 1 and 2, we are adding 1. In between 2 and 3, adding 1. 3 and 4, adding 1. Now next, look at the y values. So that is over here on the right side. How are they changing? Well, in between 5 and 6, we're adding 1. Between 6 and 7, adding 1. 7 and 8, we're adding 1 as well. So how are they changing? We are going up by 1. Are they going up by the same amount? So what I mean is when we came in here and saw what we're having to add each time, are they going up by the same amount? Are they going up by the same number? The answer is yes. And still looking at the y values, are they going up by different amounts? No, they are not. So now the y values in this table are going up 1 every time. So we already answered that. That means that you will multiply each x by 1. So this is creating that rule. Going up back to the first x value after you multiply it by 1. So I have an extra sheet of paper that I went through this. So your first x value in your table was 1. So you're going to take 1 and you're going to multiply it by 1. Well, 1 times 1 gives you 1. Make sure you don't think that it's 2. We're not saying 1 plus 2. We're doing 1 times 1. So the question asks us, after multiplying it by 1, what do you need to do to make it equal the y value? So we're looking at the first x value, so we're looking at the first y value. First y value is 5. So once you multiply 1 times 1, you get 1. Now what do we need to do to 1 to get to 5? Well, my first instinct is to add 4, and hopefully yours is too. But you can also multiply 1 times 5 to get 5. Now which one do we need to choose for our rule? Well, I'm going to choose adding 4 for now, but we'll talk about why multiplying by 5 is not the correct option in a second. So for number 4, my bad, you need to choose adding or add 4. So if we answer add 4 to number 4, you need to add 4. This means the rule could be, so what were we doing it to the x values? We were multiplying by 1. So we have 1 times x, and then we were adding 4 to get our y value. So we're going to add 4. Now once we have this, we can decide on a rule. So make sure this rule that we wrote for number 5 works for all x and y values in our table. These cannot change, but this rule can. So we're going to go in and substitute in our x value, which was 1, that was our first one, into the rule that we just created. So 1 in for x. So we're going to distribute that 1, and when we distribute, that means multiply. So we have 1 times 1, which gives us 1. And then we have 4 plus 1, which gives us 5. So when x is 1, our y is 5, and that matches up with our table. Now, if x is 2, we're going to again substitute 2 in for x, and then we have 1 times 2. So 1 times 2 gives us 2, and 2 plus 4 gives us 6. And that would have been our second y value on our table that was given. So now, the rule that we wrote, the y equals 1x plus 4, worked for our values. And I put little dots because if you kept going with all of our x values, it would work. What if you said the only way to get our first y value was multiplying by 5? If you tried your other x values, it would have not matched up with the y values given. So when we had x equals 1, and instead of adding 4, we multiply by 5, we would get our original y value of 5. But if we tried our second x value, which was 2, substituting 2 in for x, and getting 1 times 2, which was 2, and then 5 times 2, which is 10, this was incorrect. This is not what our original table had as our second y value. So multiplying by 5 to get to our y value, which was up here in step 4, or number 4, it wouldn't have worked out. So the function for this table should be y equals 1x plus 4. Now remember, during this video, please pause it if you need to copy anything. Now for the next part. Yes, you will need to try these on your own and check your answers later on. So finding the function table again. So look at the x values. You need to know if they are going up by 1 or if they are skipping around. So in between -2 and -1, we're adding 1. Between -1 and 0, we're adding 1. Between 0 and 1, we're adding 1. So are they skipping around? No. What it should have said up here, or asked you up here, is that it's going up by 1. Next, look at the y values. How are they changing? So this one's a little bit trickier. So I'm going to show you a trick with negatives and positives. So I rewrote all of our y values. And I want to know what's in between at -7 and -2. So I'm going to create my number line. And I'm going to start at -7. I want to get to -2. So I want to ask myself what operation, addition or subtraction, and how many am I going to be moving? So because I want to go to the right of the -7 on the number line, it's going to be addition. And now I'm going to count how many spaces or how many tick marks I have to go to get to -2. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to add 5. So between -7 and -2, I'm going to add 5. In between -2 and -2 and 3, add 5. If you don't believe me, you can create this for each one of them. In between 3 and 8, you've got plus 5. So for number 2, when it asks how are they changing, you are adding 5. The y values in the table are going up, so we're looking at the y's, and we've already answered that they're going up by 5 every time. That means that you will multiply each x by 5. Yes. Now go back to your first x value, which was -2. After you multiply it by 5, what do you need to do to make it equal the y value, which is -7? So that is for number 4. Our x value is -2, and we want to multiply it by 5. So negative times a positive gives you a negative, and 5 times 2 gives you 10. Once you do this, we're doing a -10 and -7. What do we have to do to get in between those? Well, again, if you want to use the number line, that's fine. If you want to use your calculator, that's fine. If you know how to do this in your head, please use your head, because some of this stuff will be on the non-calculator part of your EOC. So this tells me to start at -10, and it asks us a positive or addition or subtraction. So we want to get to -7, so we're going to be moving to the right. So we're going to be adding. We're going to be going over to the right. 1, 2, 3. Check marks. So we're going to be adding 3. So for number 4, we're going to put add 3. You need it to add 3. This means that the rule could be y equals 5 times x, which came from number 3, plus 3. Once you decide on a rule, make sure it works for all the x values. So the function is y equals 5 times x plus 3. The same thing needs to happen as last time. You need to substitute in your x values to make sure you get your correct y values. Again, I'm sorry, this should have been an x. Make it more uniform. So you're taking your x value, you're substituting it in for the x from the rule that we wrote on our sheet of paper, and you're simplifying. Remember, I'm using parentheses to show where you substituted in your x value. Now try the other 2 on this sheet of paper, and try it on your own. See what you can do without me showing you specifically what to do. Now, for the last one. For the last one, we are looking at this table off to the right side. Look at the x values, so 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, so on and so forth. You need to know if they are going up by 1 or if they are skipping around. They are going, so are we going up or down in between 1 and 3? We're going up, so we're going to be adding. All of these are going to be adding. So we're going up, and we're asked up by how many? So in between 1 and 3, we're adding 2. Between 3 and 5, we're adding 2. 5 and 7, adding 2, and 7 and 9, we're adding 2. So we're going to be going up by 2. Next, look at the y values. If you want to do the little dash, you can. How are they changing? So we're going from 15 to 5. And I already have the number line set up. If you wanted to do the number line up for number 1, you would be starting at 1 and going over to 3. So 1, 2, so you'd be adding 2. But for number 2, we want to go with our y values 15 to 5. So we're going to start at 15. And again, I'm creating a number line each time, just in case you need to see it. We're now going to be going to the left instead of the right. Remember up here we started at 1 and went to the right. Now we're starting here and moving to the left. So when we move to the left, it's subtraction. Now we got to figure out how many tick marks we're moving. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're going over 10. Again, if you're okay with doing this in your head, 15 subtract something gives you 5, and you know it's 10, that's fine. So for number 2, how are they changing? We are subtracting or going down by 10. The y values in the table are going down. Are going down by 10 for every 2 x values. So pause the video if you need to and think about this. So each x value is going by 2's. So each y value is going down by 10's. So we want to know if we created an additional table that was counting by 1's instead of by 2's for our x values, how would our y values be changing? So we're going to look at that. So for number 4, instead of counting 1, 3, 5, and so on and so forth, we want to count by 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth. So in between 15 and 5, we subtracted 10. Well, if we wanted to divide divide negative 10 into 2 little steps, what would it be? You should have gotten subtract 5. So if we do if we do 15 subtract 5, we would get 10. Then we would have to do the same step twice. So we do negative 5 or subtract 5. So we'd have 10 subtract 5, which is 5. The same thing goes down. So between 5 and negative 5, we've got subtract 10. Well, we want to split that subtract 10 into 2 steps. So we're going to have subtract 5 again. So 5 subtract 5 gives us 0. And then 0 subtract 5 gives us negative 5. So for number 4, you need to write, we'll multiply each x by negative 5 because 2 groups of negative 5 adds to negative 10. Go back to the first x, which was 1, and multiply it by negative 5. What do you need to do to make it equal the y value, which our first one was 15? So you're taking your first x value, which was 1. You're multiplying it by negative 5 to get negative 5. Now, in between negative 5 and 15, what do we need to do? You should have add 20. If you need to, rewrite it, if you don't believe me, and you can do 20 minus 5 to get 15. So our answer to number 5, or we can put it both. So number 5 would be add 20, and we need to rewrite it for number 6. Add 20. This means the rule could be y equals negative 5 times x plus 20. Once you decide on a rule, make sure it works for the other x values. So I did the same thing for number 7. I took my x value, I substituted into the possible rule for the table, and then I simplified. Remember, I'm using parentheses to represent where I substituted my x value in. And it works for all of my things. Remember, I'm just doing dots, so you won't have too much to look at, but you can do it for all of them and they will work. So for number 7, you should have y equals negative 5 times x plus 20.